right, come on through, y'all. Come on through. Come on through. All right. So I'm up tonight. And there's a reason why I'm up tonight. Because I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself. One thing about me, I'm a big thinker. So I do a lot of thinking, especially around midnight. Around this time, this is where I get all my thought process coming in. So I'm doing this topic about phenomenology and existentialism and nihilism. All right. And I'm going to explain what those terms are in a minute. But I'm going to tell you why I am inspired to do these subjects. Only because I happened to come across an interview with Kevin Gates. So Kevin Gates happens to be one of my favorite artists to listen to. But I know the way he does his interview, you could tell he's very authentic, and that's who he really is. He come from a place of spirituality. It's like spirituality meets gangsterism. A hood nigga, let's put it like that. So he like that spiritual hood nigga. And I'm just putting it in that context. So the question was, what makes him happy? And why is he so happy? And he speaks on the concept of accountability. Self-accountability. Okay? And then he speaks on growing up, which he from Louisiana, and how things were hard and whatnot. But he also said that it was based on a choice that he made to be where he is today. The choice that got him from one side of the world to where he is. And you know what? I think that's very unique. But so as I'm listening, I'm sitting there thinking about phenomenology, existentialism, and nihilism. So I said, well, I want to have this conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the definition of what phenomenology is. All right. And phenomenology will be in the category of philosophy and psychology. But let me show you guys what the definition of the word is. All right, if you guys can see my screen. Cool. All right, so I'm on the website called Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, right? It says, phenomenology is the study of structure of consciousness as experienced from the first person point of view. The central structure of an experience is intentionality. It's being direct towards something as it is an experiment of or about some object. An experiment is directed towards an object by virtue of its content or meaning, which represents the object together with appropriate enabling conditions. Now, check this out. It says, phenomenology as a discipline is distinct from but related to other key disciplines. From the other key discipline in philosophy, such as ontology, epistemology, logic, and ethics. Phenomenology has been practiced in various guises for centuries, but it came into its own in the early 20th century in the works of Husserl, Heidegger, Sartre, Merleau-Ponty, and others. Phenomenological issues of intentionality, consciousness, and qualia and first-person perspective have been prominent in recent philosophy of mind. All right, so to sum it all up, let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about phenomenology. So basically what they say is our consciousness and how we view things based on our subjectivity, meaning that based on what we experience in life. Okay? Based on what we have dealt with. So, let's say a person over here may have experience of, let's talk about that. Let's use a dog as an example. All right, let's use a dog. Let's say this person over here may feel like a dog is a good domesticated animal, but that person over there say no, certain dogs are not domesticated animals. So somebody might say that, oh, pit bulls should not be domesticated animal. And this is why, because based on what I have dealt with pit bulls, they are very vicious, they're horrible, they're hard to train, etc. This person over here might say that, no, pit bulls are well trained, they're not difficult, they are good animals, they are great protectors, etc. So what you got is two different people that have different experience of dealing with certain type of animals, certain type of dogs, which is a pit bull. So this person may think that this pit bull is not should not be domesticated animal, where this other person over here thinks they should be domesticated. And they both speaking on the view of their own experience. All right. So what I'm saying is, to sum it up, is that just because everybody go through the same experience doesn't mean that they get the same results. You see what I'm saying? They don't always get the same results. Meaning that you may have somebody that have gone through running the streets. This person that ran the street may not have to deal with getting shot or getting caught by the police and getting arrested or whatnot. But this person over here dealt with getting shot and getting arrested and getting caught by the police. All right. So what we looking at is the phenomenon or the outcome that's going to happen, that's going to take place. So what I'm saying in this situation, everything is not always absolute. It's relative. It's based on how a person have it, what the person have been through, and how they view things in life. Okay. So with that being said, yes, it's based on subjectivity. And sometimes subjectivity comes with the objectives. But the subjectivity is based on how the person views things, based on what they have experienced in their conscious. So we all have gone through certain things in life, and we have experienced different outcomes, and we don't have the same results from it. We all learn things differently. Okay? We all see things differently. So when we deal with a world like this, it's all based on social construct, social ideas, social politics. That's what we dealing with, social politics. Meaning that certain views that are political to certain group of people. Okay? So in the world like this, it is deal with philosophy and politics. So we are very philosophical in our own way, and we're very political in our own way, and also psychology. We are using a lot of psychology in our own way because we try to bring about interpretation of the world. Because at the end of the day, we all don't have the absolute answer as to what it is and why it is. We can only bring interpretation based on what we have experienced and bring about our own understanding of things. All right. Also, I want to talk about existentialism. So now, I asked the question the other day as to what is people understanding of phenomenology. How do you understand phenomenology? And of course, people gave the answer about consciousness and experience and subjectivity, etc. But I asked the question of, now, which one do you think is the closest to phenomenology? Is it existentialism or nihilism? And many of them said existentialism. So I question why existentialism is the closest thing to phenomenology. because existentialism is dealing with more so of a person experience, right? And how they develop their own, how they have their own free will and develop their own independence. And so, with that being the case, it'll be more related and more close to phenomenology, whereas nihilism is something totally different. But let's look at existentialism. All right, so I'm trying to wait for it to load up. Give me a second. So, let's look up the word existentialism real fast. So, existentialism is a form of philosophical inquiry that explores the problem of human existence and centered on the lived experience of the thinking, feeling, acting individual. In the view of existentialists, the individual's starting point has been called the existential angst, or variability, existential attitude, dread, or a sense of disorientation, confusion, or anxiety in the face of an apparently meaningless or absurd world. All right, so it goes on to say existentialism is associated with several 19th and 20th century European philosophers who shared on an emphasis on the human subject despite profound doctrinal differences. Many existentialists regarded traditional systematic or academic philosophies in style and content as too abstract and remote from concrete human experience. A primary virtue in existentialist thought is authenticity. All right, so I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to continue. So, in relation to us as people, or let's just say in general, you ever wonder why people create their own culture, their own ideas, and they have their own group of individuals who have been outcasted? Because, again, the key word, outcast. So, for people who have been outcasted or been singled out by the rest of society, especially those in the mainstream society, they create the concept of existentialism, which gives about their own group, their own sense of identity, their own sense of values, and things of that nature. So let's look at the concept of hip-hop, for example. Hip-hop was created out of existentialism because a group of teenagers felt like they were so isolated from society in itself. So because of that isolation they felt, they created a genre, which was basically a culture that is consists of music, a style, a dance, the slang, the graffiti, and most of all, the knowledge. They have created that to be able to build a foundation for themselves, something they connect and identify with, right? And not just that, is with, all other cultures, and we have borrowed from each other, but at the end of the day, we have created an identity. So here with us, African Americans, or those in the diaspora. We have created an identity that's different from others. So in order for us to adapt into this Western society, right, we had to infuse some of the African principles that many of us don't know that we carry, and try to incorporate that into the European philosophy and European system, just so we can be able to adapt into society. So our attitude is, okay, we're not accepted on a broader level, right? We're not accepted by the mainstream. We're not accepted by this large group of people. We're considered as minority. So by us being the minority, what can we do to be able to function and be able to withstand and hold principles for ourselves? Well, let's create our own society. Let's create our own group. Let's create our own structure, our infrastructure at that. So that way we don't have to try to fight and be accepted by someone else who don't really accept us. So it comes from social deprivation and cultural deprivation. So out of that, you have different groups that's created because these individuals feel like they are being outcast or don't feel like they have a place and they not belonging into certain society or certain groups. So they branch off and create their own. And again, if you go back and study Africana psychology, Africana philosophy, right, you will understand the concept of existentialism. Even W.E.B. Du Bois speaks on existentialism, but he speaks on it in a different way, which is the double consciousness. All right. The consciousness that we have amongst ourselves as a people, and when it comes to dealing with those that's outside of our paradigm. So basically, with the concept of existentialism, the attitude is, okay, they don't want to be bothered, forget them. We not going to just try to force ourselves in there. What we going to do is we going to take a little bit of this and we going to create something for ourselves. And we going to focus on ourselves. Or I'm going to focus on whatever is around me and work on me. I'm not going to try to fit in with the other crew. So with our style of dress, with the art, and I'm not talking about just visual art. I'm talking about the dancing, the music. It creates a distinction between us and other people from other backgrounds and other culture. It creates a distinction. It brings about separation so we can have a little subculture or a cultural identity of our own. All right? And I'm speaking as us as a people. Now, let's go into nihilism. Nihilism is something totally different. Totally different. All right, let's look at nihilism, which is a totally different topic. Okay? Okay, hold on. Hold on. What's going on here? All right, here it goes. Hold on. You guys give me a minute. My service is acting up. Damn. Okay. So, anywho, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and explain what nihilism is. All right, so I got it posted up. My bad. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So you can look at Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. So nihilism is the belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated. It is often associated with extreme pessimism and a radical skepticism that condemns existence. A true nihilist would believe in nothing, have no loyalties, and no purpose other than perhaps an impulse to destroy. While few philosophers would claim to be nihilists, nihilism is most often associated with Friedrich Nietzsche, who argued that its coercive effects would eventually destroy all moral, religious, and metaphysical convention and precipitate the greatest crisis in human history. In the 20th century, nihilistic theme, epistemological failure, value destruction, and cosmetic purposelessness have preoccupied artists, social critics, and philosophers. Mid-century, for example, for existentialists helped popularize tenets of nihilism in their attempt to blunt its destructive potential. By the end of the century, existential despair as a response to nihilism gave way to an attitude of indifference, often associated with anti-foundationalism. All right. So the last one is nihilism again. Basically, somebody who, let me put it into translation, someone who don't give a fuck about nothing. They feel like life is a piece of shit. Life is not worth it. Life has no value. So in their minds, they lead into a path of destruction, which could lead to death for many of them. And they don't care about the values of others. They don't care about the values of themselves and their life. So they feel like, why am I here? What am I here to do? What purpose do I serve on this planet? Why do I live? What is my purpose of existence? It has no value. Nobody has value. So they don't value anything that's moral. They don't value anything that is logical. They don't value anything that's based on social, political, religious. They don't value anything. And someone that's very nihilistic, to be honest, they very dangerous to be around. They're very dangerous because they have that mentality that they don't give a fuck about nothing. So if they have that I don't give a fuck about nothing, I don't give a fuck about shit, it's best to stay away from them. Because that means they at that breaking point. They at the point where it's all or nothing. And they pretty much gonna live down the path of destruction. Self-destruction at that. And those who are very nihilistic tend to be the ones that turn to the lifestyle of drugs. They tend to be the ones that become very suicidal because they see no value, they see no purpose of themselves being here. They feel like life serves no foundation for them. Now, I did a video about Dante Barksdale, who was an activist out of Baltimore, Maryland, who was killed on January 17th of 2021. And when I spoke in that video, I spoke about what I see when I look at certain individuals or interact with certain individuals just based on conversation is the Existentialism and the Nihilism, right? And I also spoke about how in our community, especially, because I can't speak for other community, but I will speak for my own. There are those of us who are very nihilistic, or there's those of our people that's very nihilistic. And there are those who are existentialists. So those who are nihilists, they're not caring about anybody else who's doing activism work, who trying to do positivity, or who trying to bring some form of productivity into the communities. They don't care about that. They look at it like this: that doesn't serve any purpose because we not getting no income out of it. We're economically deprived. We don't have no access to capital. So because we don't really have access to those capitals, that makes us economically deprived. And when a person that's very deprived or impoverished, they're not thinking about any other things that's going on. They're not thinking about the social movement. They're not thinking about positivity in the community. They're thinking about, I'm not getting no money. I'm not getting no reputation. So I'm not earning any status. So why do I care about what somebody's doing that's positive or that's very constructive? Why? What is it going to serve for me? What's in it for me? How is it going to help me to get out of poverty? How is it going to help me to be able to bring some income? So if it ain't helping me to make no money, then I don't care about it. I don't care about none of this shit. So that's the attitude of somebody that's in that mindset of nihilism. And now somebody who is existentialist might give the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Might as well join the social movement. Okay? Might as well join something that's going to be beneficial. I mean, here, I might as well click with these people over here and not deal with these folks over there. Because them folks over there act like they don't want to be bothered. So let me deal with the people right here. But at the end of the day, this all sums up to phenomenology. And reason why I say it's all summed up because it's all based on people's experience and how they view the world. So both nihilism and existentialism can fall under the category of phenomenology because it's all based on the state of that consciousness that this individual have and how they perceive life and how they perceive their environments and the world around them. And that's the way I'm seeing it. That's just how I view it. See, this is my phenomenology about nihilism and existentialism. Okay? So I say that it should fall under that category because you're dealing with the experimenting of life and you're dealing with your own conscience and how you perceive things. And a lot of times we perceive things from a subjective point of view because we don't really understand the objective behind it. So we're going to have the subjective, which creates opinions, which creates viewpoints, which brings about philosophy, epistemologies, but in order to make it the objective, you have to bring in the science. So let me break it all down. At the end of the day, philosophy is nothing more than the introduction to knowledge. Okay? And epistemology is the study of that particular knowledge. All right? Or knowledge in itself. And the science brings about the application of that knowledge. So you're applying the knowledge, which brings the science. All right. So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. on this beautiful late night topic. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. And with that being said, I will connect with you all later. Please be safe. So it's nothing wrong with just having some thoughts to yourself and just, allow your thoughts to marinate and be able to have your own questions, develop your own questions. Because, you may just come across and you may find some answers. You know what I'm saying? You may not find the answer. You never know. But the way we got to look at life is a book and the world is the library. So if you want to find some books, you got to go experience the world. Once you go and experience the world for yourself, you have to experience life. So life will open up the pages for you. And you'll be able to find some answers, and you may not find anything. You may get the answer. You may be able to come across some things that you know and that you're aware of, and you might come across some things that you didn't even have that you didn't have any idea about, or that you never knew, or that you was not familiar with. But it becomes something that is now tangible. So there's some things that are intangible versus those that are tangible. All right. There's some things that could be explained on the concrete perspective, and there are those things that could be explained from an abstract perspective. Anyways, I'm about to go ahead and get off of here. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I hope you all be safe. And like I said, I'll reconnect with y'all later. And then make sure y'all check out the channel. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the channel and whatnot. So make sure y'all check it out, please. And thank you for those who have subscribed on there. I appreciate it. I really do. And that's it. All right. So I'm about to go ahead and just log off. Be safe. All right then. Peace. Until next time. I'll reconnect with you guys. Make sure you do the knowledge. Always do your knowledge. Knowledge is essential. That's that. Okay.